what's going on? Benji Kaiser here today, talking about the Dell XPS 15. You want to get a review, you want to know if this is a computer that you're wanting to get for your needs, and we'll talk through the best uses for the Dell XPS 15. I'm a graphic designer, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that, but it's kind of noisy out here, so let's head on, let's get on inside. What's going on? Benji Kaiser here today, talking about the Dell XPS 159570, and I gotta tell you, this computer is phenomenal. But I'm gonna jump into the content, share a bit about this computer, what I use this computer for, and to see if that fits with your needs. So let's jump on over right now. First and foremost, before I go any farther, the build quality for this computer is absolutely phenomenal. I was a big Mac fan for many years, and the reason I stayed with Mac, the primary reason, was the build quality. And when I went to switch over to Dell, because Mac just didn't have the performance I was looking for, I really searched for a computer that would be up to my preferences for build quality for a computer. And I gotta say, I am so impressed with this computer. The outside of this computer is extremely well crafted. It has all the ports that I'm looking for. And the biggest thing is that this has not been something that scratches very easily. I'm very hard on my computers, and I've been very impressed with how well this computer has held up to the wear and tear that I put on it. Once you open up and get inside this computer, you will find a carbon fiber interior where your hands will be resting for the keyboard, and that is extremely durable as well. When I first saw it, it looked a little soft, but as I've used it, it's held up extremely well. The bezel on the 4K screen is very thin, which the only issue I have with that is it puts the webcam down near the bottom of the screen. So whenever you're web chatting with somebody, you're kind of like looking up your nose. Not the biggest deal, like you could just put your computer like higher up and it would be fine. But because the bezel is so small, they couldn't fit the camera up top. So it kind of throws off the perspective a little bit, but minor detail in this computer and the build of this computer. One thing I do want to mention though is if you're working in a job where you have to use the trackpad a lot, it's not as intuitive or responsive as the MacBook Pros are. For somehow Mac has done a really phenomenal job with creating a great trackpad setup. This Gen 1 just isn't as responsive, and so I personally went ahead and picked up a mouse, and I'll attach that mouse in the description below so you can go check that out. And I've been using that, and it's worked very well, but that's just one detail I wanted to mention. Another thing that I want to talk about is the specs of the new Dell XPS 15. So I'm astonished. This thing is so well equipped. So the previous Dell XPS 15 came with the GTX 1050 graphics processing unit, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. So I actually will run live streams on my channel, and I do that with the Dell XPS 15 that I owned previously, and that streams really well. I mean, I have very little interruption. The only thing that throws it off would be maybe my personal internet connection, but it runs very smoothly. The fan barely turns on when I'm live streaming, which is incredible. I mean, I'm shooting 1080p out of this camera, and to be able to live stream like that is fantastic. So the graphics processing unit is awesome, but they've made it even better. They put in the GTX 1050 Ti, which is even more powerful than the edition before. So you're in good hands there. Another thing I want to mention is this computer can be equipped with the new i9 processor. Your computer is going to function so fast. I mean, the brain of this computer is the latest and the greatest processor from Intel, so you can be well equipped. It comes standard with the i7 8th edition, but you can get the i9, and if you can float that in your budget, I would definitely recommend that. It can also come with 32 gigs of RAM, which I find very useful. I'm a graphic designer, so I run multiple programs at one time. I'm running anywhere from Premiere Pro to Adobe InDesign to Adobe Photoshop, and I've done like uploading to YouTube all at the same time. And with 32 gigs of RAM, I saw very little performance decrease. Another thing I want to mention that is upgraded with this computer is that webcam I was talking about. It got a little bit better on this edition, and so if you're doing a lot of video conferencing, a lot of video calls, that's something that will benefit you, is an upgraded cam. The edition that I chose to link in the description below does come with a 1 terabyte solid state hard drive. And so as far as solid state versus SATA is concerned, I always lean on the side of solid state. The reason being would be reliability as well as performance. So reliability comes in where there's no moving parts in a solid state hard drive. And that is extremely beneficial if you're somebody who's on the go a lot. If you're shaking your computer around and it's in your bag and you're putting your bag in the car, out of the car, sometimes those SATA standard drives with the moving parts tend to get a little rattled and wear out. And I've seen friends of mine when I was in school to be a graphic designer, their hard drives would just break on them. They would go out, they would die, they would become corrupted. And so what would happen is they'd lose their entire project. So if you're somebody who's working with pretty critical projects, something that can't go wrong, which I'm sure most of you are, we don't want any of our projects to get lost or any of the clients that we're working with to go away. So I would recommend the solid state hard drive, which this one comes with, which is a great benefit. Because of the i9 processor and the graphics processing unit of this computer, you're not gonna see a ton of fan speed. I shoot 4K footage from my camera and I get a little bit of fan speed when I'm doing the video editing, but on the day-to-day as a graphic designer, as somebody working as a businessman, etc., you will not see that. So if you're somebody who's used a MacBook Pro in the past and you're thinking of, okay, what computer would be equivalent to that or be a good compatible comparison, this is definitely the computer. This computer is actually better equipped than the current MacBook Pros. I actually just did a video on the MacBook Pro 2018 and if it's still a relevant computer, and you can check that out in the YouTube cards above or the description below. Also, if you are a graphic designer and you're curious about my top recommendations for graphic design computers besides this one, I've also created a video for that, and again, YouTube cards above or the description below. I hope this has helped you get an idea about if this computer is right for you, and I hope that my perspective has helped you. If you have any questions, please comment below. I would love to answer any questions you have, even make videos that would personally help you out. I'm Benji Kaiser of BenjiKaiser.com, and I will see you here on the next episode.